Hi everyone, Crista Cowan here with another episode of the Barefoot Genealogist. This is the last, for a little while anyways, of the 1950 Census weekly updates. Each week, I have given you some insights and information about the 1950 census, including how Ancestry has been able to get the digital images online within 48 hours after the federal government released it. I explained the handwriting recognition process and how we were able to utilize that to index all 154 million names in the census within just 9 days. And as states were completed and uploaded, we walked through that week by week. But as you know, a few weeks ago, Ancestry was able to get the assurance based on the quality of that handwriting recognition index that gave us enough confidence to publish an early version of that index. So the full 1950 census is searchable on Ancestry. Now, family search volunteers continue to work on reviewing those that computer-generated index, and as each state is complete, it will be updated on Ancestry. There are just a few things I want to share with you today. I won't be doing any more weekly updates. I may do a follow-up once the review process is complete, just to talk through that a little bit. But I did want to share with you today a few search tips and tricks and some navigation on the site. So let me go ahead and just share a computer screen here so that you can follow along. The easiest way to get to all things 1950 census on Ancestry is to go to ancestry.com/1950 census. That will take you to this particular landing page. Now, from here, if you want to start searching, you just click the giant Search Now button right in the center of the page. And that's where you're going to be able to do those searches on Ancestry. Now, there are a couple of things to notice about this search page. The first thing is that not all of the fields on the census are listed in the search form. So the handwriting recognition indexed everything, but we only released with this early version of the index some of the key fields. As the records are reviewed and more of those fields become available, then we will start showing more of those searchable fields here. Most of us are just searching for people by name. That's the number one fastest, easiest way to find anyone in the census, is to just type in a specific name. You can do a surname, you can do a given name and a surname, you can add a location. My favorite field to use when searching anything on Ancestry really is the lived in field. And then I use the filters to mark that exact. I can zoom in or out of that particular location to a county level, to adjacent counties, adjacent states. But typically I want to control what I see in my search results based on a specific location. And so I use that lived in field and mark that exact. Now, when I'm searching for names, of course, names can be spelled correctly or incorrectly on the actual census itself, or the computer that was doing the handwriting recognition may have misread what was written on the census, or the person who reviewed it may have misread what was written on the census. So the name is usually the single piece of information that isn't always exactly correct. But I personally always start with an exact search first, just to see what comes up. And if what I'm looking for comes right up in that set of search results, or if the set of search results is manageable enough that I can quickly skim through it, then I don't worry about editing my search. But if I need to then edit my search, I can back out to exact and similar, or sounds like, or soundex on that particular surname. Or one of my favorite little tricks is leave it marked as exact and use a wild card. So an asterisk is the wild card I use most often, and it replaces any number of characters from 0 to N, right? So any number of characters can be replaced by that wildcard, and then that will catch all of the different spellings of that surname within those parameters. When you're searching a specific database, like the 1950 census on Ancestry, I strongly encourage that you fill in as few fields as possible. You can always add in more fields if you get too many search results, but sometimes when we put too many fields with filled out information, we don't get exactly the search results that we're looking for because the search engine's trying to match, 20 pieces of data as opposed to just 1 or 2. And when you're only searching one database, it's a little bit easier, in my experience, to do it that way. And then if you have too many search results, you can come in and narrow that down by adding a piece or two of additional information. And in this case, with just those 3 pieces of information, there are my grandparents right there in Long Beach, California. So those are just some of my hot search tips. Use wildcards, use that lived in field, and when you're searching a specific database like the 1950 census, use as few pieces of information to start with, and then add information as you need to. Now, I got there again from ancestry.com/1950 census, and the search box is right there in the center. A couple of other things that I just want to make sure you're aware of, you can also access from this page. The 1950 Census District Finder, that's what we were using in those early days before the full index was searchable. This is still active. You can still use it. I can still zoom in specifically on a particular city or town. When I type that into the search box, it will zoom into that location. I can look at the individual enumeration districts within that, zoom in and out. I can also turn the enumeration district maps on or off as I zoom in and out to see an overlay of the historic streets and houses versus the current map as I do that. So I use that. Once you find a specific district of interest, of course, once you click on that, this then becomes an active link that you can use to get to that set of images. And just like always, you can then browse through the set of images, which I find really helpful. Sometimes when we get so reliant on search engines, we miss things, like the fact that maybe grandma and grandpa were living 2 or 3 houses away, but we were so focused on our search result and the way we zoomed in on that image that we don't pay attention to some of that context. So browsing images is a really good skill to develop if you don't already have that skill. And then finally, the last thing that I just want to point out, you can click this Get Notified or Notify Me link, and that will all take you to a listing. You can click here the states we've already indexed. That will take you to a map that shows you which states have been completed through the review process. So once again, because I'm still seeing some confusion about this on some forums and Facebook groups, the entire 1950 census has been indexed using handwriting recognition and is searchable on Ancestry. We used our own proprietary software to do that. We had it done very quickly, and the quality of that index was so impressive and so high that we went ahead and released an early version of that index unreviewed. Family search volunteers continue to review that computer-generated index, and as they complete the corrections for a given state, that is returned to Ancestry and is uploaded to the site. So the states and territories that are in green are the ones that have completed the review process, and we will update this map as additional states and territories are completed. So you can see that in list form or in map form here on that page. Well, that is all I have for you today. And again, this is the end of our 1950 census series, but we are looking to do some additional episodes of the Barefoot Genealogist to update some of my old videos, to put forth some new topics based on some feedback we've received. If there are specific topics that you would like covered in future episodes of the Barefoot Genealogist, you can find me on Instagram at Crista Cowan and send me a DM there if you've got something that you want to suggest, and I would love to add that to the list. If you have made some kind of an interesting or surprising discovery in the 1950 census, we would love to hear about it. So if you go to ancestrysubmissions.com/census, there you can see some brief instructions about how to make a quick video and how to upload that video with your story. We love hearing from our customers. We love hearing the stories that you have to share, and maybe might include them in some of our social media or marketing campaigns, with your permission, of course. Thank you so much for letting me be with you on this 1950 journey. I am still with you on all of your family history adventures. And until next time, I'm Crista Cowan. Have fun climbing your family tree.